Today we're going to talk about two 1954 Fender Stratocasters. Later in the video, I'm going to talk about this custom color blue 54 Strat with a cool story. That's next. But first, we're going to start with this 54 Strat. So why were Fender Stratocasters so revolutionary? Well, before this guitar, Leo Fender had Telecasters that just were a slab body, one shape. He wanted to make a design that fit to the body. It had contour shapes. It fit perfectly when you played it standing up with a strap or when sitting down. You could look at the back side of it. It caved in. It was something that was needed for guitar players, and it was so much more comfortable. Also, the first guitar that had 3 pickups with 3 different tones. And I mean, each pickup could be a whole different genre, right? And that was something that was revolutionary. Also, the first Fender that had a vibrato with the whammy bar. I mean, think of all the musicians that used whammy bars. That took us to a whole nother level, a whole nother planet. So you gotta give Leo Fender some respect for creating such an incredible instrument. So when we think of a 54 Strat, we think of a sunburst finish, an ash body, and a maple neck. But there were a few exceptions. There were custom colors that were ordered. They were not something that you could just go get at the shop. It was something that was custom made for people and extremely rare from those days. Here we have a 1954 custom color Fender Stratocaster. This is a cool story. Leo Fender made this Strat for a band leader in Southern California. And as you could see, it faded to a green color. But if you look really closely, it was actually a powder blue that faded. During this time, like I said, there were sunburst Strats, and he wanted something different. He wanted something that would stand out. And this guitar right here is one of the earliest, if not the earliest, custom color 1954 Fender Strat, the only one that we know of in the world. Check it out. So not only was this a super cool color, Leo wanted to bring Stratocasters to the public. And how did he do that? By giving it to people who were band leaders or famous musicians. In fact, he would often borrow this guitar to have it featured in films. So he wanted the whole world to see how cool Fender Stratocasters were. And he knew in his heart that they were something revolutionary. But people had to see famous musicians play them to get inspired to go and purchase one. They were brand new, innovative. Now, you have all seen maple necks on vintage guitars, but you may not have seen something as cool as this. This maple neck has a flame to it. And Leo made this special for this person. Look at the flame on that neck. And yes, it faded over the years, but it still has a heck of a smoky flavor to it. It's just super cool. And there you go. Custom color. Fender 1954, over 70 years old. And people still love the shape. It's still one of the most sought after guitars that there are, even up until today.
So, 1954 Stratocaster. What's a little unique about the 54? The Bakelite parts. Later, these changed to plastic in 1957. Bakelite knobs. You can see this tip has been changed to a plastic tip. These were football tips, we call them. They broke. I would put an original one on, but the original owner glued this on there. I can't get it off. But other than that, she's all straight. No line clousons. They don't have the name on them. That comes up in another year or two. If you notice, if you've seen the back plates of Stratocasters, they all have large slots. This was a mistake. He made these tiny little holes in the back plate where you couldn't get a string in there to go through the body to come out. So later on all the other Stratocasters, it has a much wider string hole to put your string through the bridge. So this is on a 54, maybe a really early 55. Also, these are standard stock 54s. That the very early ones, like a Telecaster, don't have the serial number on the plate. They have the serial number on the plastic Bakelite cover. Those are really rare. Those are the very first, maybe under 100 guitars have the serial number, and people threw these away, so a lot of them don't have a serial number. This is a more normal June 1954 serial number. Big, fat, wide neck, typical of a 54, kind of a diamond back neck. But one of the real interesting things that only happen in 54 are the cases, and we're going to show you what we mean. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the cases. The early 54 Strat case, we call it the form fit case, only came with the early 54s. It was exactly like the Telecaster case at the time, except it went the other way. A Telecaster case has the body here and the headstock's facing this way when you open it. Only the Stratocaster case went this way. A little weird, but that's the way they did it in the very beginning. Only the first 54 Strats came in the form fit case. By mid-54, they go over to what we call the center pocket tweed case. More what we've seen, the Krylon interior tweed on the outside, but it had this big center pocket to put your stuff in, all the case candies in there. And this lasted up until 55, when you see the more normal guitar over at an angle and the pocket over here. This is a good case. I don't know why they stopped it. The center pocket tweed. Usually on a late 54, the form fit, the really rare one, on the early 54s.
So here you have it, the 1954 100% original Fender Stratocasters. Thank you so much for watching, and we're going to get into some more vintage guitars. So if you like it, go ahead and hit subscribe. Thank you.
'54 Stratocasters. Woo!